The Durrani Empire, Durrani Tulukamani, Durrani Wakemani, Durrani Emirate, also called the Sadozai Kingdom and the last Afghan Empire, was founded in 1747 by Ahmed Shah Durrani with its capital at Kandahar, in present-day Afghanistan. The Durrani Empire at its maximum extent encompassed present-day Afghanistan, northeastern Iran, eastern Turkmenistan, most of Pakistan, and northwestern India, including the Kashmir region. Durrani's Pashtun soldiers also instigated the Sikh Holocaust of 1762 when they killed thousands of Sikhs in the Punjab, with the support of various tribal leaders. Ahmed Shah Durrani with his Baloch allies extended Afghan control from Khorasan in the west to Kashmir and Delhi in the east, and from the Amu Darya in the north to the Arabian Sea in the south. The Afghan army began their conquest by capturing Ghazni and Kabul from the local rulers. In 1749 the Mughal ruler ceded sovereignty over what is now Pakistan and northwestern India to the Afghans. Ahmed Shah then set out westward to take possession of Herat, which was ruled by Shahrukh Afshar. He next sent an army to subdue the areas north of the Hindu Kush, and in short order all the different tribes began joining his cause. Ahmed Shah and his forces invaded India 4 times, taking control of the Kashmir and the Punjab region. Early in 1757, he sacked Delhi, but permitted the Mughal dynasty to remain in nominal control as long as the ruler acknowledged Ahmed Shah's suzerainty over the Punjab, Sindh, and Kashmir. After the death of Ahmed Shah in about 1772, his son Timur Shah became the next ruler of the Durrani dynasty, who decided to make Kabul the new capital of the empire, and used Peshawar as the winter capital. Reign of Ahmed Shah Durrani. In 1709 Mir Wais Hotak, chief of the Giji tribe of Kandahar province, gained independence from the Safavid Persians. From 1722 to 1725, his son Mahmood Hotak briefly ruled large parts of Iran and declared himself as Shah of Persia. However, the Hotak dynasty came to a complete end in 1738 after being toppled and banished by the Afsharids, who were led by Nader Shah Afshar of Persia. The year 1747 marks the definitive appearance of an Afghan political entity independent of both the Persian and Mughal empires. In October 1747 a lawyer jigger concluded near the city of Kandahar, with Ahmed Shah Durrani being selected as the new leader of the Afghans. Thus the Durrani dynasty was founded. Despite being younger than the other contenders, Ahmed Shah had several overriding factors in his favor. He belonged to a respectable family of political background, especially since his father served as governor of Herat, who died in a battle defending the Afghans. He also had a well-trained larger army and possessed a substantial part of Nadir Shah's treasury, including the world's largest Koh-i-Noor diamond. Early victories. One of Ahmed Shah's first military action was the capture Ghazni from the Gijis, and then wresting Kabul from the local ruler. In 1749, the Mughal ruler was induced to cede Sindh, the Punjab region and the important Trans-Indus River to Ahmed Shah in order to save his capital from Afghan attack. Having thus gained substantial territories to the east without a fight, Ahmed Shah turned westward to take possession of Herat, which was ruled by Nader Shah Afshar's grandson, Shahrukh of Persia. Ahmed Shah next sent an army to subdue the areas north of the Hindu Kush mountains. In short order, the powerful army brought under its control the Tajik, Hazara, Uzbek, Turkmen, and other tribes of northern Afghanistan. Ahmed Shah invaded the remnants of the Mughal Empire a 3rd time, and then a 4th, consolidating control over the Kashmir and Punjab regions, with Lahore being governed by Afghans. He sacked Delhi in 1757, but permitted the Mughal dynasty to remain in nominal control of the city as long as the ruler acknowledged Ahmed Shah's suzerainty over Punjab, Sindh, and Kashmir, leaving his second son Timur Shah to safeguard his interests. Ahmed Shah left India to return to Afghanistan. Relations with China alarmed by the expansion of China's Qing dynasty up to the western border of Kazakhstan. Ahmed Shah attempted to rally neighboring Muslim Khanates and the Kazakhs to unite and attack China, ostensibly to liberate its Western Muslim subjects. Ahmed Shah halted trade with King China and dispatched troops to Kokand. However, with his campaigns in India exhausting the state treasury, and with his troops stretched thin throughout Central Asia, Ahmed Shah lacked sufficient resources to do anything except to send envoys to Beijing for unsuccessful talks. Third Battle of Panipat. The Mughal power in northern India had been declining since the reign of Aurangzeb, who died in 1707. In 1751–52, a Hamdiyya treaty was signed between the Marathas and Mughals, when Balaji Bajirao was the Peshwa. Through this treaty, the Marathas controlled virtually the whole of India from their capital at Pune, and Mughal rule was restricted only to Delhi. Marathas were now straining to expand their area of control towards the northwest of India. Ahmed Shah sacked the Mughal capital and withdrew with the booty he coveted. To counter the Afghans, Peshwa Balaji Bajirao sent Raghunath Rao. He defeated the Rohillas and Afghan garrisons in Punjab and succeeded in ousting Timur Shah and his court from India and brought Lahore, Multan, Kashmir and other subas on the Indian side of Attic under Maratha rule. Thus, upon his return to Kandahar in 1757, Ahmed was forced to return to India and face the formidable attacks of the Maratha Confederacy. Ahmed Shah declared a jihad against the Marathas, and warriors from various Pashtun tribes, and 25,000 Baloch warriors from various Baloch tribes joined his army under the command of Khan of Kalat Mir Nuri Nasir Khan Baloch. Early skirmishes were followed by victory for the Afghans in Baloch against the smaller Maratha garrisons in northwest India, and by 1759 Ahmed and his army had reached Lahore and were poised to confront the Marathas. By 1760, the Maratha groups had coalesced into a big enough army under the command of Sadashiv Rao Bar. Once again, Panipat was the scene of a confrontation between two warring contenders for control of northern India. The Third Battle of Panipat, fought between largely Muslim and largely Hindu armies, was waged along a 12-kilometer front. Despite decisively defeating the Marathas, what might have been Ahmed Shah's peaceful control of his domains was disrupted by many challenges. As far as losses are concerned, Afghans too suffered heavily in the Third Battle of Panipat. This weakened his grasp over Punjab, which fell to the rising Sikh missiles. There were rebellions in the north in the region of Bukhara. Decline. The victory at Panipat was the high point of Ahmed Shah's and Afghan power. However, even prior to his death, the empire began to unravel. In 1762, Ahmed Shah crossed the passes from Afghanistan for the sixth time to subdue the Sikhs. From this time on, the domination and control of the empire began to loosen. He assaulted Lahore and, after taking their holy city of Amritsar, massacred thousands of Sikh inhabitants, destroying their revered Golden Temple. Within 2 years, the Sikhs rebelled again and rebuilt their holy city of Amritsar. Ahmed Shah tried several more times to subjugate the Sikhs permanently, but failed. Ahmed Shah also faced other rebellions in the north, and eventually he and the Uzbek Emir of Bukhara agreed that the Ahmadiyya would mark the division of their lands. A decade after the Third Battle of Panipat, Marathas under the leadership of Mahaji Sindhia entered and recaptured Delhi in 1771, cutting off Rohillas from the Durrani forever. Ahmed Shah retired to his home in the mountains east of Kandahar, where he died on April 14, 1773. He had succeeded to a remarkable degree in balancing tribal alliances and hostilities, and in directing tribal energies away from rebellion. He earned recognition as Ahmed Shah Baba, or father, of Afghanistan. Other Durrani rulers. Ahmed Shah's successors governed so ineptly during a period of profound unrest that within 50 years of his death, The Durrani Empire per se was at an end, and Afghanistan was embroiled in civil war. Much of the territory conquered by Ahmed Shah fell to others in this half-century. By 1818, the Sadozai rulers who succeeded Ahmed Shah controlled little more than Kabul and the surrounding territory within a 160-kilometer radius. They not only lost the outlying territories but also alienated other tribes and lineages among the Durrani Pashtuns. Timur Shah Ahmed Shah was succeeded by his son, Timur Shah, who had been deputed to administer his father's conquests in northern India, but had been driven out by the Marathas. Upon Ahmed Shah's death, the Durrani chieftains only reluctantly accepted Timur's accession. Most of his reign was spent fighting a civil war and resisting rebellion. Timur was even forced to move his capital from Kandahar to Kabul due to insurgency. Timur Shah proved an ineffectual ruler, during whose reign the Durrani Empire began to crumble. He is notable for having had 24 sons, several of whom became rulers of the Durrani territories. Timur died in 1793, and was then succeeded by his fifth son Zaman Shah. Zaman Shah. After the death of Timur Shah, three of his sons, the governors of Kandahar, Herat and Kabul, contended for the succession. Zaman Shah, governor of Kabul, held the field by virtue of being in control of the capital, and became Shah at the age of 23. Many of his half-brothers were imprisoned on their arrival in the capital for the purpose, ironically, of electing a new Shah. The quarrels among Timur's descendants that threw Afghanistan into turmoil also provided the pretext for the intervention of outside forces. The efforts of the Sadozai heirs of Timur to impose a true monarchy on the truculent Pashtun tribes, and their efforts to rule absolutely and without the advice of the other major Pashtun tribal leaders, were ultimately unsuccessful. The Sikhs started rising to power in defense of the years of invasions of Punjab by the Afghanis. Zaman Shah was unsuccessful in subduing them. A young Sikh chief, Ranjit Singh, then succeeded in wresting power from Zaman's forces. Later, when Zaman was blinded by his brother, it was Ranjit Singh who gave him asylum in Punjab. Zaman's downfall was triggered by his attempts to consolidate power, although it had been through the support of the Barakzai chief, Painda Khan Barakzai, that he had come to the throne. Zaman soon began to remove prominent Barakzai leaders from positions of power and replace them with men of his own lineage, the Sadozai. This upset the delicate balance of Durrani tribal politics that Ahmed Shah had established and may have prompted Painda Khan and other Durrani chiefs to plot against the Shah. Painda Khan and the chiefs of the Nurzai and the Ilazai Durrani clans were executed, as was the chief of the Qizilbash clan. Painda Khan's son fled to Iran and pledged the substantial support of his Barakzai followers to a rival claimant to the throne, Zaman's older brother, Mahmood Chars. The clans of the chiefs Aman had executed joined forces with the rebels, and they took Kandahar without bloodshed. Mahmood Zaman Shah's overthrow in 1801 was not the end of civil strife in Afghanistan, but the beginning of even greater violence. Mahmood Shah's first reign lasted for only 2 years before he was replaced by Shuja Shah. Shuja Shah, yet another of Timur Shah's sons, Shuja Shah, ruled for only 6 years. On June 7, 1809, Shuja Shah signed a treaty with the British, which included a clause stating that he would oppose the passage of foreign troops through his territories. This agreement, the first Afghan pact with a European power, stipulated joint action in case of Franco-Persian aggression against Afghan or British dominions. Only a few weeks after signing the agreement, Shuja was deposed by his predecessor, Mahmood. Much later, he was reinstated by the British, ruling during 1839 to 1842. 2 of his sons also ruled for a brief period in 1842. Mahmood Shah Mahmud's second reign lasted 9 years. Mahmood alienated the Barakzai, especially Fateh Khan, the son of Painda Khan, who was eventually seized and blinded. Revenge would later be sought and obtained by Fateh Khan's youngest brother, Dost Muhammad Khan. Sultan Ali Shah was another son of Timur Shah. He seized power for a brief period in 1818–19. Ayub Shah was another son of Timur Shah, who deposed Sultan Ali Shah. He was himself later deposed, and presumably killed in 1823. The loss of Kashmir during his reign opened a new chapter in South Asian history.